Hello, my name is Sean Gallagher, and I'd like to introduce you to the D365 ERP command line interface. This is an experience that I've created as an alternative to using MCP with agents for interacting with Dynamics 365 finance and operations applications. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, I just want to say, why should we leverage a command line interface? And so one of the things that I have found in my initial testing here of the ERP CLI is that we're seeing significant improvements in the amount of tokens that are required. So as you can see here, that typically with MCP we have 21 tools. We're using around 2,900 tokens of per turn overhead, as with the CLI, I'm seeing around 100 tokens. This is also scriptable, so you can use this with shell scripts, use it in CI/CD, in pipelines, and you can also easily schedule this in cron, batch, or automation. But the key thing is that we're seeing significantly less tokens required to leverage this CLI. So let's go ahead and try this out here. So I'm going to jump over here into Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to run a command here to just read and execute my Copilot prompt. My prompt has instructions here to only use my command line interface tool here. Do not use MCP tools for any of the integrations. Should only use my CLI. So let's go ahead and run this now. So we're going to go ahead and start the prompt here. I have cleared out my previous test runs. So if we go over into Dynamics 365, this is going to create an Acme chart of accounts. So right now, Acme doesn't exist here, and I don't have an Acme legal entity either. So this is going to go ahead and kick off. I'm also using the Sonnet 4.6 model here. So one of the things with leveraging the prompt here with the command line interface is I have a lot of instructions to help it with processing, so I don't need to necessarily use the deep thinking that something like Opus provides here. So while this is running in the background here, we're going to go ahead and also just take a look at the information that I have in my GitHub and just kind of go through some of the basics around the command line interface. So you can see right now it is creating the command for the legal entity, and then it's going to switch to the company, create the chart of accounts, create the ledger, and just create 8 main accounts here as a simple little demo here. So it's right now executing that process. So if we go over into the project, I do have some information here on the actual improvements here. So you can see that I'm seeing for more complex runs up to 92% token savings versus using MCP. So as you can see, this is significant with the savings here. And also the performance is better because we can use models like Sonnet and they can be more effective. So if we take a look at the architecture of how this works, you can either use the client directly as a user, or you can have your AI agent leverage it. This was written in Go, and it's using Cobra for the commands here. We have AI safety guardrails in place, and then we have our output renderer here with JSON, table, CSV, and raw formats. We're using a form daemon, and so this basically is allowing us to do actions through the form similar to what's possible with the MCP server. We also have an OData client, so we can also use the data entities as well. It authenticates with Microsoft Entra ID using Azure AD flows. And we have core services here for configuration profiles, batch for JSON pipelines, and also error management. So if we go ahead and take a look more at some of the documentation here, this is laid out where we have all of our configuration files here that you can set up. So there are global flags here that you can configure your authentication methods. So we do support 5 different authentication methods. And we also can set up different profiles so you can easily switch between environments here. Since this is written in Go, everything is in one binary, so there aren't any dependencies, which is really nice. And if we go back up, we also have some information available for the full integration guide here with examples for the agent. So we have areas here for generating system prompts. So this will help your agent create prompts for working with the CLI. I have an example here for creating a legal entity. And if we go back over here, we also have some information available on being able to leverage some of the different commands as well to help you get started here. So if we go over into the docs area here and go into the commands, this has all of the command reference for the connections, for OData, for doing the inspection of the entity schema, and creating a new entity. So we have a lot of information here baked in. We also have form commands. So similar to what we can do with the MCP server, we can do things like click a button, set fields, open a lookup dropdown. And so these are all available through the command line interface here. But it does require the background daemon to be running, which auto starts on the first use. There are also a lot of different utilities here. We have a D365 doctor, which will also do a health check to make sure everything is working properly here. So if we go back over and take a look at how things are going with our service here now, we can see that we have created the ledger here, and right now it's creating the 8 main accounts for me, and then it's going to perform the final verification here. But if we go ahead and look at its experience here, we can see right now it's creating the accounts. And so we can actually go over and take a look at what's happening in Dynamics 365. So I should be able to now find my Acme legal entity that created here. So if we go and open this up and go up to the top here, we'll now have Acme Corp. And so this legal entity was just created. And we also see we now have a Acme chart of accounts here, and we can see it's actively creating the chart of accounts here. So as it does that, if I refresh here, we'll see those accounts fully populate. So it should be a total of 8 accounts here that will be generated once this is complete here. So let's go ahead and just take a look again. And I can see that it is finishing up with the account. So it just did retained earnings here. And so we should see it finish processing there here in a moment. But at this point, everything is processing really nicely here. And the big thing is this is spending significantly less tokens to do this versus using MCP because of the efficiency of using shell commands through the command line interface. There's a lot less round trips and activities having to be done here in order to perform this process. So I think this is a really interesting alternative to leveraging MCP. If we go back over and take a look at the progress here, we can see here now I have more additional chart of accounts that have been added, or main accounts that have been added to my chart. So it looks like everything there is working very smoothly. So we're going to go ahead and let this finish out. But I'm really excited to share this with everybody. The GitHub project is open source with an MIT license, so everyone can leverage this. And you can use this with MCP together as well. So if there are any issues or challenges that the agent runs into using the command line interface, if you have MCP also available as a tool, it will also try to use MCP. I've actually had to explicitly tell it not to use my MCP tools for this demo just because I wanted to show it doing everything through the command line interface. So we can see now that we have everything ready to go here. So it created my legal entity, it switched to the company, it created the chart of accounts, it went ahead and created the ledger association, created my 8 main accounts, and now it's doing my final verification here. So thank you for your time. Really excited to share this with everybody. I think this is super, super exciting